Senate Republicans voted on Tuesday to approve a massive tax and spending bill that packs in all of Donald Trump's most authoritarian policies, an extremist, far-right MAGA agenda, ending weeks of negotiation and clearing a critical hurdle toward final enactment. The legislation, known among Republicans as the Big Beautiful Bill, now returns to the House, where its fate remains uncertain. While both the chambers of Congress are under Republican control, the House is fractured. Hardline conservatives are demanding deeper spending cuts. Moderates worry about the impact on safety net programs, and Republicans from blue states are pushing back against provisions affecting state tax relief. With just a few votes to spare, Speaker Mike Johnson faces the difficult task of holding his narrow majority together.
85 to 90% of this bill is the House-generated product. The Senate made some modifications to it. They made it more conservative in some places and moderated it a little bit in others. But I tell you what, as the president said so well today, this is no longer just a House bill. It's not a Senate bill. It's the bill of the people.
A central feature of the legislation is the permanent extension of the Trump tax cuts for the rich, passed in 2017, which were originally scheduled to expire at the end of this year. The bill channels significant resources into hardline and racist immigration enforcement, aligning with Trump's pledge to carry out mass deportations of people of color. Immigration and Customs Enforcement will receive $45 billion to expand detention capacity, $14 billion for deportation operations, and billions more to hire 10,000 new agents by 2029, creating a vast secret police force operating as Trump's personal militia. Additionally, over $50 billion is designated for new border infrastructure, likely including new segments of the border wall with Mexico. To help offset the bill's cost, Republicans include major reductions to Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, or SNAP. These cuts include stricter work requirements and reduced funding. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, as many as 10.6 million people could lose health coverage, and around 8 million could be dropped from SNAP altogether, forcing people into poverty and punishing them for being unwell or infirm.
While you're jacking up taxes on people who make less than $50,000 across the United States, while taking away their SNAP, while taking away their Medicaid, while kicking them off of the ACA and their health care extensions. So if you're at home and you're living off tips, you do the math. Is that worth it to you? Losing all your health care, not able to feed your babies, not being able to put a diaper on their bottom in exchange for what? This bill is a deal with the devil. It explodes our national debt. It militarizes our entire economy, and it strips away health care and basic dignity of the American people. For what? To give Elon Musk a tax break and billionaires the greedy taking of our nation. We cannot stand for it, and we will not support it. You should be ashamed.
Green energy programs are also targeted. Tax credits and subsidies for electric vehicles and energy-efficient home upgrades put in place under President Joe Biden will be phased out by the end of the year. And while the Senate removed a proposed excise tax on wind and solar projects at the last minute, the bill still marks a rollback of clean energy support. One of the most contentious provisions involves state and local tax deductions. Initially capped at $10,000, the House version raised the limits to $40,000 to win over Republicans from high-tax states. The Senate preserved the increase, but only through 2028, leaving uncertainty about whether the change will last. Despite the GOP's stated commitment to fiscal discipline, the bill raises the federal debt ceiling by $5 trillion. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned the U.S. could reach its borrowing limit by August, risking default and a potential financial crisis if Congress does not act. Trump has no mechanisms or provisions for growing the U.S. economy other than his propaganda that tax cuts for the rich trickle down to the poor, which of course they don't. There is no investment in infrastructure, housing, or public services. He is intentionally crashing the U.S. economy and, in time, world markets too. Job numbers today were down 35,000. According to estimates from the Budget Lab at Yale University, the budget legislation will disproportionately benefit the wealthy. Anybody earning under $30,000 per year will now pay up to 27% more in tax, but everyone else gets a tax cut. This is a most shameless theft of the poor imaginable, where Trump seeks to further erase people from society. The Congressional Budget Office projects the bill will add $3.3 trillion to the deficit by 2034, primarily due to the tax extensions. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget warns the real figure could be even higher, over $5 trillion, if temporary provisions are made permanent. The vote followed an intense weekend of debate and overnight amendment votes. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the deciding vote after 3 Republicans, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, and Tom Tillis, broke ranks and joined Democrats in opposition. Tillis of North Carolina withdrew his support over Medicaid cuts that he said would affect over 660,000 residents in his state. Following Trump's public rebuke, he announced he would not seek re-election. Collins cited threats to rural hospitals in Maine, and Paul warned the bill would worsen the national debt. Although Alaska's Lisa Murkowski voiced similar concerns about Medicaid, she ultimately voted in favor. Senate Democrats, unable to filibuster the bill due to the reconciliation process, expressed outrage. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer called the legislation a big, ugly betrayal, arguing that it trades away health care, jobs, and economic stability for tax giveaways to the wealthy. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Committee launched a nationwide campaign targeting vulnerable Republicans who voted for the bill. DNC Chair Ken Martin, who cited personal reliance on safety net programs in his youth, blasted the bill as a massive scheme to rob working families and enrich billionaires. Billionaires don't need more help. Working families do, he said. Democrats will stand shoulder to shoulder with them and fight to kick these Republicans out of office in 2026. Trump's stealthy but ultimate intention to ethnically cleanse America of immigrants now appears to extend to Americans of color. Budget cuts and policy changes disproportionately affect black communities due to historical and ongoing systemic inequalities. These inequalities, rooted in structural racism, create disparities in areas like housing, education, and employment, making black individuals more vulnerable to the negative impacts of these horrendous budget cuts. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.